Hey, everybody, welcome to the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast, dedicated to raising awareness, sharing IBD stories, and offering support for those with Crohn's and colitis. Together, we can share knowledge, experiences, and help show the world the many faces of IBD. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Gish, Crohn's warrior since 2006 and lifelong fitness fanatic. My guest today is Anitriss Smith, an author who's been battling Crohn's disease for the past 18 years. She's here to share her journey with IBD and how she's taking charge of her health and future. She just recently published a book earlier this summer titled Undefeated, My Fight with Crohn's Disease, and is on a mission to encouraging others to unite and fight IBD together. Thank you so much for joining me, Anitriss, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So I'm really looking forward to talking more about the new book you've just written. But before we jump into that, why don't you go ahead and start by sharing your Crohn's story and when you were diagnosed?
Well, in 2000, my family had went on a vacation with our church to Canada, and I was so excited about going. I had my hopes up about having a lot of fun, but maybe about 4 hours into the trip, my stomach started acting really weird, and it started cramping up. So I decided to take a nap. But as I woke up, the pain was getting worse, and it was making me feel a little bit more crummy than usual. So I just started to drink a little water and maybe relax myself a little bit more. But when I got to our destination, it didn't seem to be getting any better. And so I was talking to my grandma, and she said maybe if I get something to eat, maybe it'll be a little better. But eating seems to make it a lot worse. So I just went to my hotel room and lay down for a while. But as the day progressed, the pain got worse.
Was this the first time that you'd ever really experienced kind of gastrointestinal upset and distress?
Well, I've had like tummy aches and constipation and cramping and stuff like that, but I never paid it any attention before
Mm-hmm.
then. That's when it started getting really bad. And I mean, the only relief that I really got was to strip down and lay on the bathroom floor of the hotel room.
Mm.
So it didn't go too good after that.
So what happened? Tell me about the trip. Obviously, you were away from home, and this sounds like it was probably your first big Crohn's flare up. What was kind of the next steps that you started taking from there?
Well, I couldn't eat, so they found something for me to eat, which was yucky. It was baby food, but yeah,
Oh,
it was yucky. But that's the only thing I can hold down. And over the course of the time we were there for about 5 days. And in those 5 days, I think I lost about 20, 25 pounds in them 5 days because
wow.
my clothes literally look like a tent. But the pain never did go away. I got a little bit of relief maybe after the first couple days, and I was able to do a couple of events that they wanted to do. But when I got home, I saw my primary care, and he sent me to a specialist, and that just started a whole slew of tests that I do believe lasted maybe 6 months, 7 months, and then in 2001 they finally diagnosed me with Crohn.
Was it a gastroenterologist that you saw right away? Was that the first specialist, or did they bounce you around with a few doctors? Because it
No,
sounds like it took 6, 7 months, a little while to get that diagnosis.
my primary care, what he did is he started giving me some tests, and he sent me to get, I think it was an MRI first. And then he said that he was just a little bit concerned. And so after a couple months, he put me on a painkiller. And after a couple months, he sent me to a specialist. And a gastro specialist I know I had some blood work done. I had to have a colonoscopy, upper GI. He sent me for x rays, CAT scans, another MRI. And
Everything.
yes, ma'am. And I was pretty scared because I had never went through anything like that. So it made me a little nervous because I figured it had to be something bad. The reason why they had me going through all this.
And so the end result was they concluded took about 6, 7 months, but Crohn's disease at that time.
Yes, he concluded that I had Crohn's disease, and then I had to go on a lot of medications. I know it. I ended up taking 24 pills every day for almost 2 years.
Wow. Did it help at all?
Um, it helped with a few of my issues, but
Mhm.
once the made that chronic diarrhea set in, it just felt like nothing helped. I couldn't keep on weight, and then my body just started reacting different ways. I know a couple years in, my stomach just started hurting more and more, and then I had to go back and take some more tests. I had to take a bacterial test, and then he had me take a couple more tests, and he told me that I was lactose intolerant.
So did they put you on any other medications at that point, or did they just kind of keep doing tests and keep you on the 24 plus pills a day?
He kept me on the 24 plus pills. After he just told me that if I wanted to, I can do the lactose um, pills that help with some of the symptoms of intolerance that you can get over the counter. And he told me it was really good for me to leave the dairy alone or find a plant based dairy product. So that's what I tried to do is
Mhm.
find a plant based dairy product. But at that time, that stuff was very expensive. So I just left dairy alone for a little while.
And this was about 18, you've been fighting Crohn's disease for 18 years. So tell me a little bit more about the journey, the process of finding the right medications and maybe finding, if you ever did, find a right diet. Tell me a little bit about that process and kind of what's got you to the point where you're at now.
Well, it is really funny that you say that. Only
Mhm.
because I just now, probably in 2016, finally got a doctor to really look at what was going on with me because I had so many issues over 15 years, the first 15 years. I just felt like I never got the right medications. I like got painkillers
Mhm.
that would ease some of the pain. Leaving dairy alone for a while kind of helped a little bit, but it never really like sent me into a point where I didn't have any issues. And so I got fed up with the progress of my health care. And I was talking to my
Mhm.
husband and I said, I got to do something different. I really got to do something different because my life cannot go on with me being in constant pain all the time. And I was married to my husband. It had been 14 years then, and I have three beautiful children. So I had to take care of my family, and I just couldn't spend a lot of days in the bed because I can barely get up and move around, or I didn't have enough energy, or everywhere I had to go, I had to make sure I looked around and clocked out where the bathroom was and how long it would take me to get
Mhm.
there. I just couldn't live my life like that. And so I decided to leave the healthcare system that I was in, and I was talking to a family member that also has Crohn's and sarcocardosis. I think that's how you say it. And she was
Mhm.
telling me about her primary care physician. And so I went and I set up an appointment and I went and talked to that primary care physician. And that's when everything changed. The light bulbs went off, and it was like a party was being thrown in my favor. That doctor got me set up with physicians at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and it was terrifying because I found out that I wasn't treated as properly as I should. And so I had to start
Yeah.
the process like I was a beginning patient. It was my first time dealing with Crohn's. So I had to start that whole process all over again. I didn't get really upset. I cried at the doctor's appointment. I did because I was a little frustrated. But
Well, yeah, because that was 15 years of basically being miserable. Crohn's is no
yeah,
fun.
no, it is no fun at all. It leaves you feeling alone. Um, you go through depression for sure, and you feel like you can't live your life. But seeing new physicians that I felt that really showed me the care that I can have, and that showed me how living with Crohn's could be on a positive note. That was all. That was all of what I needed. It really was.
What were some of the first things that they did?
The first thing she did was put me on prednisone. She said because she needed to get some of the inflammation down in my body. I was really bloated. I looked like I was not only 9 months, but really getting ready to give birth to a baby, and I wasn't even pregnant. Um,
Mhm.
and so she did send me to get a CAT scan, an MRI. Um, and I had recently had a colonoscopy from my previous doctor, so she said she didn't really need that. But she gave me the results back in about a week, week and a half. And she was like, I just need you to go on a couple of things. And I do not like steroids. But I did take her advice and go on the prednisone for a little while. And I went in to see her for a follow up, and she talked to me about Remicade. But I had already heard about Remicade. So she just basically reiterated some of the things. We talked about having surgery. We talked about changing my diet and getting more exercise and just trying to live my life to the fullest.
What were some of the things so I'm guessing I'll start here first. I'm guessing you go ahead and switch onto the Remicade, and then did you finally find remission with that?
Yes, I finally got on a Remicade, and it helped tremendously. Now, the first few weeks was not all that well. um, I suffered some extreme nausea. I really couldn't eat. But she had told me beforehand that that may happen, and so I was expecting it.
Mhm.
And once it passed, the Remicade really helped so much. And after about maybe 4 months, maybe the first complete first cycle, I started to feel better. I started to feel a little different. The diarrhea slowed down, and some of the nausea slowed down. I just felt overall better. And I was more
Mhm.
confident in my specialists, in my primary care. I was so much confident in my team that it made me feel better. The stress level went down also.
Finally feeling like you're on the right path.
Yes, definitely.
So you mentioned your doctor, the new one that you'd gotten, put you on the Remicade, and you talked about surgery. And I think you actually just recently, over the last couple of years, have gone through a couple surgeries. Is that correct?
Yes, September of 2018 and March of 2019. So I had two surgeries in 6 months. One, I had went in the early part of September because I wasn't really feeling good, and my stomach was just in knots, and I couldn't walk, and I was in extreme pain. And at my local hospital, um, they gave me a couple tests. Of course, they got a hold to my doctor, and I will mention her name because she is an awesome person. Dr. Jamie Kanukin of the University of Michigan Hospital in Ann Arbor. Oh my gosh, she is awesome. Um, and they got in touch with her, and she had me transferred to the U of M, Ann Arbor, because she wanted me to be closer to where she can be over my care instead of relaying messages. She wanted to make sure that she saw everything and that she approved of everything. And so that helped
Wow.
out. But during that time, um, the doctors that were on call, and they sent surgeons in and a hematologist in, and I seen so many doctors in the first week. I can't even tell you who they all were, but they
Mhm.
worked together to make sure that we came up with a plan. And then they sent a surgeon by the name of Dr. McGuire, and we talked about surgery. We talked about the pros and cons, and if it would be beneficial. But it took like more than about 4 or 5 days for them to actually agree that I needed the surgery because I was asking for it. I had already researched it. I knew what can happen. I knew the benefits. I knew that with Crohn's, there was a 50-50 chance that even after surgery, it could come back. Surgery was not a guarantee that it would cure it. And I understood that.
Was it a resection that they were talking about doing?
Yes, it was a resection they talked about doing, but Dr. McGuire and Dr. Kanukin was talking to together, and it was another surgeon about what would be best for me. And so the first surgery ended up being with me getting an ileostomy, because I had a blockage and a fistula, um, and my intestines had grew up to connect to a different part of my intestines that they didn't like, and they
Mhm.
said it shouldn't have been like that. So they wanted to take the best approach, and so ileostomy was the best thing to do, so that I can get some of the inflammation down to see if the fistula would kind of take care of itself and see if the blockage would do anything before they went in and did
Mhm.
any big surgery with resectioning. They wanted to make sure some things happened that was in my benefit, because if they would have did the surgery at that point, they would have took out most of my intestines. So they didn't really want to do that. They want to do something different to see if they can take it out as less as possible.
Wow, so that ileostomy sounds like it really helped to save a lot of the intestines that you did have then?
Yes, it did. I didn't like the ileostomy at first. It was pretty scary
Mhm.
and it seemed to be a lot of work. But
Mhm.
after about a month, I did realize that it was helping me out more than I thought it could ever do, especially in saving most of my intestine and not letting them have to go in and take most of it out. And then I'm living with a permanent ileostomy.
So was the second surgery, did they reverse it then?
Yes, they reversed the ileostomy, and they did some resectioning. They did have to remove the blockage and fix the fistula. So they only had to take out the minimum as necessary. And so that was a blessing there.
That's great. So what's it been like after the surgery? Has that really helped you, in addition to the Remicade, to really feel like you've gotten to a point where you're able to enjoy life?
Yes, it has. I do not map out where the bathroom is and clock how much time I need to get there. I don't have to do that as much anymore. I'm not having as many issues with pain and not being able to move around. I am getting around very well. Um, it's easier for
Mhm.
me to do some of the things that I want to do. So I'm just not having as many issues, and I'm feeling overall pretty good. I still have things here and there, but they're not as severe as usual.
That's great. So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned your doctor had also mentioned food while you were talking about the Remicade, medications, surgery, and she'd also brought up food. So how did diet play a role over the last couple years? Has that been a part of your lifestyle and changes?
Because I have been trying to make sure that I eat a healthier lifestyle, eating more fruits and vegetables. I've been trying to work out a little bit more, but I still am
Mhm.
lactose intolerant, and I also have celiac, so gluten is not my friend. So I have to stay on a strict gluten free diet, to which that helps a lot. Um, but I do find myself eating a lot of rice and potatoes and things, so I'm just trying to back off a little bit of the starchy foods to bring in more fruits and vegetables a little bit at a time, because my body does not digest fruits and vegetables that well. And so we're just trying to
Mhm.
get my body to where it's healthier, that I can stay um, at a better state and not have so much pain. The Remicade is working awesome. It really is. The last time I did talk, the last time I did talk to my doctor, she said that they didn't really see any active Crohn's. So that's a blessing. And so I'm just trying to keep my body there.
What are some of the tips you've been doing to reintroduce more of the fruits and vegetables? You said your body has a hard time digesting those. I know mine certainly does too. What are some of the things that you've been doing to slowly bring in more of those?
I just try to introduce a little bit at a time. I don't try to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. I still stay away from apples, oranges, or the more acidic fruit. I lean more towards bananas. I do have strawberries every now and then. I love grapes. So I just eat a little bit at a time.
Mhm.
I didn't try to jump in with both feet. And it's the same with vegetables, because vegetables really hurt sometimes. So every now and then I'll eat a full salad, but I eat more kale, more greens. Um, I stay away from corn. I eat
Mhm.
asparagus. And so, but most of the time, I do have to make sure that my vegetables are cooked. I try to stay
Mhm.
away from a lot of raw vegetables. The ones that taste yucky when you cook them, like cucumbers, I don't really like cook.
Uh-huh.
I don't really like cooked tomatoes.
I don't think I've ever had a cooked cucumber.
So I try to the ones that I pretty much have to eat raw. I don't eat too much of them, but the ones that I can cook, I do try to eat more of those, as well as fruit. Sometimes fruit tastes better when you cook them. I just try not to add a lot of sugar and things to them because the sugar can
Yeah.
become a factor in having diarrhea. So you don't want to go through that. So I am trying to work out a plan that's good for me. I try not to go with the fad diets and doing what everybody else is doing. I just try to figure
Mhm.
out things that works best for me. Because I am trying to take off a little bit of weight because I did gain some weight after the surgery, and I find that
Mhm.
is a little harder, especially when you're dealing with an illness, to try to take off the weight because you're trying to do it without harming yourself or triggering that illness, and so it gets a little hard.
It's like walking a tightrope. It's really tricky.
Yes, it is really tricky. So, but I have a good support system that tries to help any way that they can. I have an uncle who is a fitness fanatic. And so he tries to give me
Mhm.
tips on different things, and he's always researching. And if I have a question, if he don't know, he'll say, "I'll get back with you." And then he always try to give me an answer on, well, I read that this may work, or you can probably try this. So, and then my husband, he's a cook, so he tries to make sure that I'm eating the things that I'm supposed to be eating and staying away from those things that I shouldn't. Although he do let me cheat every now and then. He does,
Well, you gotta live life.
yeah, he does let me cheat every now and then. But my kids are also, they're very militant with me and mom, you're not supposed to eat that.
Mhm.
Mom, you're eating too much of that. So I do have a really good support system. My mom gives a lot of support. She's always checking up on me, and my grandma, and I have other family members and church members that really look out to make sure that I'm okay.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. So tell me a little bit. I want to switch gears and talk about flare ups because it sounds like out of the 18 years you've had Crohn's, you've spent most of it pretty much in a flare,
Mhm.
never really getting relief. So, what are some of the things you've learned over the years that's helped when you've had symptoms or maybe even a full flare up? What are some of the things that have helped you to maybe calm those symptoms or to get through those tough times?
When I'm having, I call them my mini flares. When I'm having my mini flares,
Mhm.
I just try to back off of a lot of food. I try to eat very soft things. Um, Things like I really leave the fruit and vegetables alone, and I pretty much stick to potatoes, rice, oatmeal, grits, those things that are really soft on the stomach. I drink a lot of water,
Mhm.
and I just try to relax. But when I'm having a full blown flare, It is 100% me staying in the bed and just letting my body be stress free, letting myself
Mhm.
relax, putting on my favorite movie, laughter. My kids do that a lot for me. My husband does that a lot for me to keep me in a happy place and a happy frame of mind, so that I don't add more stress to my body than what's already going on. Um, when I'm in a full blown flare, I really don't eat a lot. It's hard for me to eat a lot because
Mhm.
pretty much everything messes with my stomach and creates pain or bloating or diarrhea or constipation. So I try with a full blown flare just to completely relax.
Definitely a great tip. And it sounds like your family is just amazing to the support they give you and keeping you laughing.
Yes, they are.
Sounds like they're just incredible. How do you, so tell me, because I'm sure having three kids is definitely not stress free.
No, it's not.
So even though they're supportive,
No.
how have you found to balance kind of just stress and life overall? Because for many people, especially for me and a lot of people I talk to, stress is a big trigger. So how do you help to keep that minimized in your life?
I know over the years you've always heard, especially with my physician, they say you need to live a stress free life. I do not know how to do that. That is very hard, like you said, especially with a husband and three kids. There's no such thing as a stress free life. A stress less,
Uh-huh.
having less stress would be a better phrase. Um, we have a lot of family time, like I said, to where we can relax. My kids are very helpful. It was really hard in the beginning, um, to find times to where I can just sit and decompress
Mhm.
and just let everything else around me go away. Or you know how when little kids say they put their hands over their ears and they can't hear you.
Mhm.
There are times I've had to do many and many a times like that. I have had some times where I just go in my room and just cry for 30 minutes. And I mean, it seems very sad, but it helped me decompress because sometimes you have it in
Mhm.
and you have to let it out. But you do have to,
It's that catharsis
yes,
of just being able to just, like you said, let it come
yes, you
out.
have to have those times. Even when your kids are around, you say, well, I go in my
Mhm.
room and close my door 10 minutes and just sit there and think about nothing and do nothing. And I do that a lot. My family doesn't even know that I do that. And I do that quite a
Mhm.
bit. I'll go in my room, close my door, and they may not, what you doing? And I don't say anything. And that's me decompressing. But my faith plays a lot in me
Mhm.
trying to be stress free. I pray a lot. I do go to scripture and I talk to God a lot. I get up in the morning when everybody's asleep. My husband being and already went to work, and I sit on my couch and I do my scripture and I do my devotional, and then I just sit there sometimes for 5 or 10 minutes and I just sit there and just listen to nothing. And that seems to allow me to get my mind focused and let my body know, okay, we getting ready for the day. But I choose to pick those times.
That's great. What a great way to start the day and have that as a part of the day.
Yes, it does.
Tell me tell me a little bit. I'm curious. I'm guessing your kids have grown up with you having Crohn's disease. So tell me a little bit about what the process was as when they were younger. I'm sure, being young, they'll have no idea what it is. How did you finally start teaching them what Crohn's is? And what was that process like of helping them to understand what it is that you go through having Crohn's?
I would just answer their questions. If they ask questions, mommy, why
Mm-hmm.
you're not up and why we can't go here? Why are you always in the bed? Why you always say you in pain? Why you can't eat with us? Why you have to fix um, separate food? So over the years, they just started asking questions, and I just answered them as
Mm-hmm.
honestly as I could. I don't lie to my kids about what I'm going through. Um, they see it all. They have seen it all. Um, and
Mhm.
I figure if they are a part of what I'm going through, they will understand me a little bit better. So those days when mommy cannot do anything with them, or I, it's time for mommy to lay in the bed and watch TV, or when mommy's door is closed, they know what those things mean. So being open, honest, and transparent with my kids, even when they were 2 and 3 years old, I would explain
Mhm.
to them, mommy has Crohn's. They say, what's, so I would explain it, show pictures,
Mhm.
um, give them examples of when I had to go to the hospital, because I've been on several hospital visits and stays while they were growing up. And I
Mhm.
always had my husband bring them up there to let them know this is what mommy is going through. Mommy will be okay. But right now, mommy's just
Mhm.
having some difficulties, and we'll get through this together. And they just took it upon themselves to, if I'm going through a flare or at a hospital having to stay or something like that, they would take it upon themselves to make sure that I'm always laughing. Um,
Mhm.
I have a 15-year old, a 12-year old, and an 11-year old. And so they all know how to cook. And so they would
Wow.
cook for me. And especially if I'm in the bed, they would make sure that I'm
Mhm.
comfortable. Um,
How
they would make sure I
awesome.
have things to do. Most of the time, they would come in and lay with me and go to sleep with me. So it was just
Mhm.
the point of,
Very
yes, it was
comforting.
just the point of me being very open, honest, and transparent with them, not trying to hide things from them, but letting them know the truth.
Yeah. It's the best thing to do. It's the easiest thing to do. Just put it out there, and easiest in the sense that you're not trying to hide things or remember what you've told them or haven't told
Right.
them. And
And
so it's just always easier to just tell the truth and
yep.
be honest
and,
and open.
and
I like
also
that.
letting them be my little helpers, not telling them that no, mommy doesn't need your help. Um, if you just go play or something, like, no, just if they want to help, letting them help, because then they felt better
Yeah.
about, okay, we'll get through this together.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to remember because people like to help. And I know when a family member of mine isn't feeling well, I want to help, and it does feel good to be able to help. So, I think that's an important thing you just said, that allowing them to help when you're not feeling
Yep.
good is, and to have some little helpers is
Yeah, it's
great.
awesome to have help.
So let's jump into talking about your book. You actually just published it earlier this summer. I believe in June it came out as a paperback, and it's Undefeated: My Fight with Crohn's
Hmm.
Disease. So start by telling me what compelled you after 18 years to finally go ahead and put your journey with Crohn's into a book and share it.
Well, it started with a conversation with my husband. I wanted to do something, and I was like, I cannot sit around and not share with everybody what I've been through, because you never know what kind of encouragement or what will
Mhm.
come out of you sharing your story. And while I was at my last hospital stay, well, the first hospital stay in September, um, as I said, my
Mhm.
faith plays a role, a huge role in helping me to fight this and keep moving. And I just remember that I had a conversation with my pastor, and he asked me, he said, what lesson did you learn from this? And I really didn't understand. And so I just had to have a conversation with God about why was I still in the predicament that I was in, and why hasn't things moved in a more positive direction, and what can I do to help someone else? Because for all these years it was all about me focusing on me focusing on what I'm going through. And I said, I know this cannot be what I am here for, to just think about me and focus on what I'm going through. I said, what about what others are going through?
Mhm.
what what about those who don't have that support, don't know where to turn, and feel
Mhm.
ashamed of what they're going through, and they are maybe going through stages of depression or selflessness or doubt or being unhopeful. And so I was like, I've always wanted to write a book, but I just did not know where to start. And so my
Mhm.
husband, we had a conversation and he said, just start writing. He said, pray
Yeah.
about it and just start writing and just pour your heart out. Figure out where you want to go with it and just pour your heart out on paper. And it took, oh my goodness, it took me about maybe 6 to 8 months to write the book because I went
Mhm.
through stages with it of letting some of the issues I went through, more painful issues I went through, come forth. And it
Yeah.
was a lot of crying nights writing with tears in my,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it was just a lot of self. I don't know. I can't describe some of the feelings that I had, but it was trying to get it out in a way that I felt would help others.
What an emotional experience it really must have been. I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but being able kind of having to go back through the 18 years and relive a lot of a lot of just miserable times. That's got to be an emotional way. How did you feel once the book was done? Was it kind of this relief? I mean, what was it like once you wrote that last paragraph?
I know when I wrote, it was funny because when I wrote the last paragraph, I took a really deep breath and I just said, "Whew, thank you." It felt so good to just let it all go. And granted, I didn't
Yeah.
write everything that I went through, but I did write the most important things to me. And it just it was very therapeutic to sit there and be like, okay, I unloaded and it feels nice. Because it was like weight, it was like stress coming off. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm done with that. So now maybe just getting it out will help someone.
And you obviously wrote about your Crohn's journey, but you mentioned that you really wanted it to, when you talked about the purpose and your husband asking you where you wanted it to go. So tell me a little bit more what the book is about, kind of in just your words of what you wanted it to be able to do and provide for people.
Okay, in picking the title Undefeated, for so many years I felt like I was just fighting a battle that I could not win. And when I
Mhm.
finally realized that I am still standing, I am still here, that's where the Undefeated title came from. That it had Crohn's has
Mhm.
not it has not defeated me. It has not won the battle. It has not knocked me out. Sure, it has um, knocked me on my behind a few times. Yes, it has
Mhm.
definitely done that. But it has
Same here.
it has not defeated me. I've been knocked to my knees. I felt like I have been knocked out at times, but I got back up
Mhm.
and realized that I am truly undefeated. And that's where my title came from. And I just wanted, as people to begin to read it, that they understand that yes, Crohn's is very difficult to go through. It will send you on an emotional, a mental, and a physical fight like none other.
Mhm.
Um, and there will be times that you'll feel like people do not understand you and that you are alone. But in the end, you're going to come out with your hands raised in the air and saying, I am still here. You're still ready to fight. You're still fighting. And that's the encouragement part I want everybody to understand is that you can come up on top of this disease. You just have
Mhm.
to stay positive, open minded, have a hopeful outlook on it. Sure, there will be days where it just feels like you want to give up. but keep fighting. I want to encourage people to keep fighting,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not you and you know someone who has Crohn's, or better yet, any other illness, that you want them to
Mm-hmm.
know to keep fighting. You are a conqueror, you are a warrior. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Put them boxing gloves on every day and keep fighting. Even if it's just to tell yourself, I will get through this day. Tomorrow will come. I will be okay. That's what I want to encourage others.
I love it. Such a powerful message and just so needed because I think everybody I've talked to so far who has Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, anyone with IBD, we've all gone through this period of where you feel alone. It is a very isolating disease and just everything you were talking about is such a powerful thing. I love the message. I love what you're doing. What was it like when you were able to you got the book published, it's available for sale. What's kind of been the response from your family and friends around you having the book out and finally getting it out there? Was it eye-opening for them? Had they Were they aware of everything that you put into the book?
Um, no, they wasn't aware of everything that I put into the book. I know I have
Mhm.
had a lot of congratulations. I'm proud of you. Keep going, keep fighting, keep encouraging, use your voice. And I've had some readers tell me that it has brought them to tears because they didn't know some of the things that I went through. Um,
Mhm.
I know I had a few people would come to me and respond. They would say, I would never know that it had got that bad,
Yeah.
or you were feeling that way from the way you try to present yourself. And I
Yeah.
will tell them, I said, honey, I have to keep fighting every day. But it has been
Mhm.
such a warm response to putting the book out. I know my mom, my mom, she
Mhm.
said, I was waiting for you to do this. So, yeah.
Good. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What's been the most surprising thing for you in sharing your story? Has anything kind of happened or jumped out at you that you weren't really expecting?
Um, I was putting it out on social media and I got a few responses from some various people, and a classmate of mine responded and said, I really didn't know. I didn't know.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's the more surprising thing because I've been seeing a lot of posts and I do relate to when people say, um, I look great on the outside and I look good on the outside, but you would never know the war that's going on the inside. And so I can
Mhm.
really relate to that. And I've been getting a lot of responses to that of, wow, you wouldn't know. And so
Yeah.
that, I mean, from different people that I haven't seen over the years, and some even different family members, you, I think that's the more shocking thing because I do talk about my Crohn's. I don't hide it from anyone. And so to
Mhm.
get to some of the responses, I was like, wow, people really don't see some of the things that people go through.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think just like you mentioned, I think a lot of us really do hide most of it from the world. And I think it's only kind of been a recent thing with more of the social media and more people stepping up to really talk about it that people really are opening up. And so I think it really still is surprising for people to hear these stories and see the full spectrum of what Crohn's is.
Right. And I love the fact that it's getting out more and that more people are willing to talk about it and not be so ashamed
Mhm.
of having Crohn's or know someone with Crohn's or another IBD or autoimmune disease. Is It makes my heart feel really good to know that more people are talking about it and willing to share their story because, like you said, so many
Mm-hmm.
of us, we do hide it and we do live in shame
Mm-hmm.
because we don't want people to question how we feel or question why we can't do certain things that we used to, or why we can't go certain places,
Mm-hmm.
or why is it that if we do go we're always looking around, and they're trying to figure out why we looking around and why we disappear from time to time. But
Yeah,
it does feel nice that more conversations are being held and more people are being more open and transparent.
I agree. So tell me, is there one thing that you wish people knew about IBD but they don't?
Most people, those who know about IBD, do know that it exists. But I will say that I want more people to know that, from especially from my experience, we are not faking this.
Yeah,
It is 100% real for us, and I want people to know that when we are truly going through something, we are truly going through something, and the best thing that someone can do is to just give us support. Because support means so much and it goes a long ways.
I agree 100%. Very well said. So, if people want to learn more about you and your story, maybe keep up with you online, and if they want to buy your book, tell me where they can find you online and where they can find your
Well,
book.
my book is available on Amazon.com under Undefeated, My Fight with Crohn's Disease. It is $14.99 on Amazon. You can directly inbox me on my Facebook page at author Anitriss Smith on Facebook, and it will pull up my I Am Undefeated page. You can go through there. You inbox me. I can give you all the details on how to get it from me directly. And when you order directly through me, you can purchase through um, PayPal, Cash App. I do accept checks and money orders. A lot of people think that's weird, but
Mhm.
I do. And you can just,
They're not completely gone
I know,
yet.
not yet, but I see them leaving in the future, but not just yet. And so those you
Not
can
yet.
inbox me on Facebook, like I said, at author Anitriss Smith. You can also go to my regular Facebook page if you would like to do that, Anitriss Smith. If you go directly through me, I will give you a signed copy. But if you go through Amazon,
Awesome.
I do have a book signing coming up in Flint, Michigan, where I'm from,
Mhm.
and it's at Totem Bookstore on Court Street. So August 24th from 1 to 3, and I am will be happy and glad to see people there to come out and support me. And I am signing books and talking with everybody that attends.
Fantastic. I will put all of the links to both your social media, your Facebook pages, Amazon, and I'll put in the details on the book signing. I'll put all of that into the show notes so that people can find that really easily and reach out and contact you easily as
Thank you
well.
so much.
Thank you. So we covered a lot. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you wanted to share before we wrap up?
No, I just want to let everyone know, if you know someone with an autoimmune disease, and it's a wide range of them, um,
Mhm.
especially Crohn's, IBD, other autoimmune diseases. Um, know that we are fighting a battle, and we will continue to fight and fight together. And for anyone that is listening with those particular diseases, because that's what I talk about in my book, there are support groups.
Mhm.
There are blogs like yours. Um, there are
Mhm.
podcasts. There are many different forms of support that you can go to and find the help that you need. They help with research. They always giving tips on eating, exercise, and they will just let you talk. And people are there to
Hmm.
walk you through different situations and give you that help, especially emotional and mental help that you need. Don't feel like that you are alone.
Yes.
Don't feel ashamed. We are here to help each other. And that's what we will continue to do.
Yes.
Be here to help each other. And that's exactly how I found your blog and your podcast. And that is how I found a couple other things. It's just looking up the information and wanting to find the support and a way to let people know to be encouraged.
I love it. What a beautiful note to end on, to just help each other and encourage each other through what we're
Yes,
going
ma'am.
through. Thank you so much for joining me today, Anitriss. I really enjoyed this, and thank you for your advocacy and your book, and just for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me. I really do appreciate it. I really do.
Thank you for listening to the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have an IBD story, either as a patient or a family member, that you'd like to share as a guest on this podcast, or if you have a topic you'd like to hear about, send me an email at crohnsfitnessfood@gmail.com. If you'd like to learn more about me and my Crohn's journey, follow me on Instagram using @crohnsfitnessfood, or visit my blog for in-depth articles about my struggles and victories with Crohn's through diet, fitness, and lifestyle at www.crohnsfitnessfood.com. And finally, remember, be strong, be grateful, and be the warrior that you are.